Hi there and welcome to another portion of infotainment. This video counts towards your 5 a day. Which one of history's good guys was actually a horrible person? Not necessarily a good guy, but got lots of positive attention from the release of The Greatest Showman. Apparently P.T. Barnum was a terrible person in real life. The Greatest Showman is the film P.T. Barnum would release about himself. I remember someone on r/fixing movies said the perfect way to end the film would have been to have P.T. Barnum look directly at the camera, say "and that's how it really happened," wink, and then cut to credits. Henry Ford was so anti-Semitic that Hitler considered him a hero. Brave New World makes a whole lot more sense now. How? I haven't read the book. Basically, bunch of genetically identical people idolize assembly lines and worship Henry Ford as their god. Yes, it's as weird as it sounds. America's Dad, Bill Cosby. Who was the mom? Sleeping Beauty. This comment deserves a gold. Alfred Hitchcock was an a-hole/sexual predator. Tippi Hedren wrote about it in her memoir. She did say he was a brilliant film marker, so you can be both. Luckily, no other famous directors were sexual predators. I've been roaming around this thread looking for this reference. Would he been better if you had stayed put? Thomas Edison. Biggest monopolist ever and took credit for other people's work. He didn't invent the light bulb but bought the rights and advanced it. He monopolized the film projector plus most films at the time, and it took a very long lawsuit to get that fixed. He took many creations from his employees and put his name on it. This wasn't illegal because of the contracts employees signed at the time, but it's not exactly a sign of goodwill. I don't hate the guy, but his character is often completely exaggerated. Thomas Edison and Henry Ford's winter homes are in my city. As soon as students are in 3rd grade, all the schools would bring us to their homes, and really try to make you believe both of them were good people. A shorter list would be which of history's good guys were truly good guys and not later found out to be complete $1 holes. Curly from the Three Stooges. Typically having several dogs at any given time, Curly was known to come home often with strays he found along his travels. He would foster the strays until he was able to find new homes. And when the Stooges were on tour, Curly made it a point to rehome at least one stray in each town they visited. It is estimated that Curly saved and rehomed more than 5,000 dogs in his lifetime, making him a man before his time with his humane concern for man's best friend. John Lennon. Violent wife-beater, vicious and hateful little poop bag. He used to scream at his baby boy when he was crying because it distracted him. Wrote Imagine speaking about dreaming of no possessions, from his multi-million-dollar condo overlooking Central Ducking Park in NYC. Didn't speak to George Harrison for months after he published his autobiography because it didn't praise Lennon quite enough for his taste. Absolute piece of poop. In this thread, a lot of people who were never considered good guys. Unpopular opinion, dog lover and painter Adolf Hitler did some pretty questionable stuff in the 30s. Really changed his ways in the 40s though. Even killed a genocidal dictator. While he almost certainly wasn't the first to say it, Lord Acton once observed that great men are almost always bad men. Pluck any great man from history, those rare figures about whom the story of the human race seems to turn, and you find a monster who changed the world, probably without even intending to do so. It's my estimation that every man ever got a statue made of him was one kind of a son of a witch or another. Malcolm Reynolds. Yep. I hate reading about my heroes, because really quickly, they lose their hero status. Depends on what you mean. Judging by today's standards, I'd say most historical good guys were horrible people. Judging by the standards of their era, things become more complicated. Yeah, even abolitionists back in the day may have been against slavery, but that didn't mean they thought blacks should be treated equally. And those abolitionists who did think that people of color should be equal to white folks were effectively shut up by their peers. It was thought that if they asked for equality, the slaves would never be free. It's an interesting thing to think about, but I get upset when people try to pass it off as if there weren't people and groups fighting for equality in that era. There definitely were, but the other abolitionists suppressed their voices as to deal with the larger problem, rather than the underlying problem. I still don't know what was right in that situation, and maybe that's okay, but the situation is a little more complicated than just abolitionists thought that blacks shouldn't be equal. Steve Jobs was a bit of an butt. A bit? You should read Small Fry. Steve Jobs was a tremendous butthole. He should also read the Walter Isaacson biography. He was a massive tremendous anus. Literally abandoned his daughter because he didn't want to be a dad. Screaming at people over the shade of yellow on the Google screen on iPhone. Thought he could cure his cancer with diet. He was given a night shift at Atari because he smelled so bad because he thought by eating clean he wouldn't produce any stink. Tinkerbell. Everybody thinks she was so cute and such a good friend to Peter, but she was a jealous psychopath and tried to murder Wendy several times. I mean, in the book she only did it once. Because that makes attempted murder better. Fae don't hold themselves to human moral standards. Ned Kelly is neat, because he seems to have recognized his anti-hero status. His actions were never morally right, but it's hard to say we haven't ever wanted to do the same. I feel like a lot of Ned Kelly's actions were justified if you take his accounts as opposed to the policemen he dealt with. The truth is likely somewhere in between. There's no excuse for his early theft, but those wouldn't make him a horrible person by today's standards. He was a criminal turned outlaw turned national hero / revolutionary. Sure, he stole and murdered, but he was a product of his upbringing and the state of Australia at the time. This is a little more niche, but Bill Wilson, the founder of Alcoholics Anonymous. The guy did great things, and created a program of recovery that has saved millions of lives since its inception 85 years ago. He was also an arrogant donkey hole that cheated on his wife even in sobriety. AA for 5.5 years. So don't let this keep you away if you're struggling with your drinking. Nothing is black and white, it seems. Joseph P. Kennedy, dad of John, Bobby, and Teddy, had one of his daughters lobotomized. She was likely autistic but was considered an embarrassment to the family. Rosemary Kennedy was never considered autistic. When her mother, Rose Kennedy, was giving birth to Rosemary, the doctor wasn't available, and Rose was told to keep her legs closed until the doctor arrived. Baby Rosemary was in the birth canal for about 2 hours, being deprived of oxygen the whole time, which resulted in severe learning disabilities. What, and I cannot stress this enough, the F? What would have been your answer or question? Leave it in the comments below. Slap that like and subscribe button for more, and check out the link in the video description for even more answers. Peace out, and catch you in the next video.